Voltaire said, "Every man is a creature of the age in which he lives, and few are able to raise themselves above the ideas of the time." Plato said, "Wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something." George Bernard Shaw thought that the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. This is Whiskey Hell. Think critically. Act accordingly.
Saturday, June 15th, 7:39 in the evening. This is Whiskey Hell Podcast, your news show that takes apart the narratives from the week and tries to make sense of them for you. Fitz, I got a little bit of echo tonight. I'm feeling large, and I don't know that I can control my audio.
Okay. Well, the only reason I laugh is because anytime someone says, I hear an echo, I've got an echo, I every time I think about the stupid fucking joke that I think his name is Blaine in Predator. That joke, he was always telling really bad jokes. No, it wasn't Blaine. What the hell was his name? Anyway, the joke is, so I went up to my wife the other day and I said, "Geez, you have a good pussy, a big pussy. Geez, you have a big pussy." And she said, "Why did you say it twice?" And I said, "I didn't." And that's how we're going to start the show this week for all of our new listeners out there. Welcome to Whiskey Hell. Oh God.
That's the stuff right there. That's gold. That's audio gold. It's podcasting gold. That's why we do this.
Oh shit. How was your week, man?
So we're actually off in Flagstaff, and I've actually recorded from here before, but tonight my goal was to use virtually the same rig that I have at home. Well, the home confines obviously are not a bathroom. That's where I'm recording today.
Right.
So that's the first hitch. But we were up here, we went ahead and, it's my youngest 18th birthday, and he always wanted to have his buddies up and go up to our buddy Brad's house and have his friends. So we're like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. And we took 8 of them up here. So we've got 8
brave.
18-year-olds.
You're brave.
Oh, we've been up here since Wednesday. We had one car, a transmission blew. We blew a tranny. That has nothing to do with Pride Month. And then it's been smooth sailing otherwise. It really has been great. Great bunch of guys. The thing that excites me about this is that he's going to understand what it's like to get all of his buddies together to go and do something, right? These are like memories that he's gonna remember. I could tell today he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm so annoyed," because it's been 3 or 4 days straight of just nonstop staying up until 3 a.m. like we used to do. But I'm really excited that he's getting to experience that.
Yeah, that's you. I mean, you'll never get these chances to have these kinds of memories again. And I'm not talking about, end of the world apocalypse stuff. I'm just saying, like, this is the time in your life when you can get away with this shit. Your responsibilities are minimal. Your testosterone is high. You're looking for trouble. You're looking to have fun. You all know each other well enough that you can make each other laugh at the drop of a hat, which I miss those days.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, you just can't make memories like this when you're, 49.
No.
So do it when you're 18. That's awesome.
Exactly. And find your tribe.
Yeah,
I got a hunch the majority of these guys are going to be together for freaking ever. It's just, it's a diverse bunch. They're fun, lighthearted. They talk a lot of shit. I mean, they remind us of us a little bit, but not with the wild factor, right? I'm not detecting the angst and wanting to go, you know, fight or die kind
Jump,
of a
yeah,
attitude that I think
jump
we
into a
had.
mosh pit and then, well, no,
Yeah,
go drink, 4 shots of whiskey and 3 beers
yeah,
and then jump into the middle of a mosh pit and see what happens.
exactly, exactly. I'm not
Yeah.
detecting that, but it's a really solid group of guys, and I'm really happy for them. And that's what it's all about. That's what being 18, being young is for. So my first toast when we get to it is going to be to um, being 18 and getting after it. I think that's the road I'm going to go with that.
Nice. Nice. Well, and I've got a toast also. I've got a couple of toasts tonight. Um, but yeah, so we definitely have to do some toasts tonight.
All right,
There's some good ones to be had.
good, good. We'll make sure we do that as part of housekeeping. We've got a really tight show tonight, and I say that from the standpoint that this is it's compact. It's not a gigantic long doc of just story after story after story. It is definitely in there's some themes out there that we're going to tackle. We've got Cuba welcomes Russia, right? We've got OpenAI
Yep.
is now in bed with Apple, which is massive.
Yep.
When we were on the show last weekend with Semi Skeptic, we had breaking news, and shout out to those guys because that was a really, really fun time.
Yep. That was actually one of my toasts I was gonna throw out
perfect.
was to those guys. So, but yes, that was such a blast. Love being on that show. Can't wait to do it again. They're just such a sister show to us. From across the pond, and
Absolutely.
I just love the energy that they bring. That British wit and humor is just something we can't duplicate. But I think we even made those guys laugh a couple times too. So they
Oh, we
appreciate
totally
us as
did.
well, and it was a great time.
Totally did. Um, but we got to break some news during that show, and that was
Yeah, we did.
Europe pretty much turned upside down as far as our elections, and now we've got this far right narrative that's going on through Europe that is people are making it out to be some kind of a Nazi movement. It's not, but we'll get into it.
No, and have you
Um,
noticed it's been radio silence this entire week about all that? Like all that news was just dropping, dropping, dropping all Sunday, a little bit into Monday, and then since then it's been nothing. It's been climate change bullshit. It's been
yeah,
how awesome Biden is bullshit, and it's been how awful Trump is bullshit. That's all I've seen on my feed all week.
ex- exactly. The Climatopolis, climate apocalypse, climate apocalypse. I was trying to make a new word earlier and it didn't work.
I appreciate the effort, dude. That's a mouthful right there. Don't hurt yourself. You haven't had enough to drink yet.
Yes, thank you, Jay. A cockalypse. Yes, that's exactly where I was trying to
Yeah,
go with
yes. Mm-hmm.
it. But like you were saying, the whole Trump derangement syndrome's kicked in. We've got climate change. It's summer, so everybody's it just the news stories are hilarious and ridiculous and absolutely mystifying that we're even going to go and do this again. But one of the things that we'll get into it is that you notice that we're in the middle of Pride Month, and Pride Month hasn't been Pride Month. It looks like it's now Climate Month.
Yeah, right.
Tons of
Yeah, I
shenanigans
haven't.
in Washington.
Yep.
We've got SCOTUS, Supreme Court judgments, just a ton to get into tonight. But it's going to be in blocks. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm digging where we're going to go with this show.
Agreed. I'm excited.
Fitz, what are you drinking tonight?
All right. Well, mystery beer, and you know what? Damn it, I meant to look up the website for this brewery. I think this was the brewery that had a really shitty website, but it's Mount Tabor Brewing.
Okay.
And they are from up north. My friends up north in Vancouver. Oh, that's not true. They have one in Portland and one in Vancouver. So either way, north of me. Yeah, and I don't think they have a great. Oh, maybe they do. Yeah, see, they only have what beers they have on tap right now. So I have
Oh,
no idea what's in what they've canned and put out or not. We don't get a lot of their stuff down here, but This is the second time I've had them on the show as a mystery beer. So my wife must have found the Mount Tabor section at the store. I don't know, but anyway, so that's all we know is the brewery, the beer poured jet black, and so I'm assuming it's a stout of some sort. Could be a porter, but looks more stoutish to me as far as the head. Although I don't know. It could be a porter. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna wrap my lips around it here, but it poured a very nice. It poured a little bit too thick to be a porter, in my opinion. But let's see.
All right. So that's Mount MT Tabor, Tabor brewing.com if you guys want to check them out.
Ooh, that's nice. God, this could be a porter, man. Fairly
Porters are
low
fun.
ABV. I'm gonna say sub 7%. Coffee, chocolate, and a really, really clean finish, which is making me think it's a porter as opposed to a stout. Stouts tend to linger a bit more.
Not too roasty
than port. It is a little roasty actually. But it doesn't linger at all. It just finishes like boom. Here's some coffee. I think it's a coffee stout. I let me have one more sip here.
All right, give it a run.
Yeah, I'm guessing a coffee stout. Yeah. All right. Let's do the big reveal. I don't want to linger on it too much because I know that gets annoying. Sometimes I listen to the show after we record it, and I'm like, just get to the fucking beer already, Fitz. Jesus Christ, such an asshole. All right. Well, damn it. This one really straddles the line. It is called Crown Point Porter. This is a porter.
What do you call it?
Yeah. My final guess was a stout, though. I'm trying to see here what all they kind of put in it. Chocolate and subtle hints of coffee dominate the flavor of this smooth, robust style porter. So they really kind of push the envelope on this. This, as you can tell from my not really quite guessing it right, this one is right in that family of stouts and porters that, they could be crossover beers. And, you know what? In honor of Pride Month, this is a trans beer. I think it was born a stout, and it's now identifying as a porter, and so that's okay. That's fine. I get it. And but really good beer. Well done. It doesn't matter what it identifies as. I'm gonna drink it down. It's really fucking good.
Okay. Between that beer and our blowing a tranny on the way up to Flagstaff, I think this may be the tranny show.
Oh God. Oh, let's not. And by the way, I was right on the sub 7%. It's a 6% ABV. So,
Okay.
a nice easy drinker. Not necessarily a session beer, but definitely one that isn't going to put you on your ass, at least not right away. So, great beer though. I really like these guys. Second beer I've had by them, and I've been impressed by both beers. I feel like a road trip up to at least their Portland one, would be in order just to taste some beers and see if we can't grab a hold of a brewer or two and see what their philosophy is. Good stuff.
I like it. I really think we're due to go rampaging through the Pacific Northwest. We're gonna have to get
Agreed.
up there and really take it to them.
Yep, I agree.
So I'm gonna do a couple things here. One, I'm featuring only Flagstaff beers tonight, and I've not had either of these beers. But the first one, I'm going to compare and contrast the beers that I have from Dark Sky Brewing, and then the beers that I have from Mother Road, or had from Mother Road the other day. And my point is that I think Mother Road is dead. I think it's going to be going away. I'm going to call it the way of 903 in Texas.
Yep.
I even looked at their financials, Fitz, and it is kind of surreal, just where these guys actually are now. And I'm so happy to have been able to get to Dark Sky. They're doing some fantastic things there. The beers are out of this world. Pardon the pun, because that's like their whole mantra.
I was just gonna say, what a brilliant name for a brewery up there, because Dark Sky Brewing is named after the movie. Well, first it was a novel, and then they made it into a movie. But it's about a guy who claims he was abducted by aliens up in Flagstaff. He got, you know, sucked up into the mothership. He got probed with all sorts of butt plugs and whatever else they put up him, and then they dumped him back down, and he remembers it all. He said for whatever reason their mind wiping techniques didn't work on him, and he remembers it all. But anyway, so these guys, whether in honor of or just to make fun of, because I don't know, I don't know. Maybe the guy did get sucked up into a mothership. I don't know, but named their brewery Dark Sky, and it's such a brilliant name for a brewery. Way to embrace your local lore, you know?
Absolutely. And these guys are fun. Shout out to Donnie Fox, who used to work there. Don't get to say it enough,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
Donnie's moved on to
Shout
New
out
York,
to
so
Donnie.
yeah.
He's
But
the big time.
he totally is. I think he's in New York, doing stuff there now. But anyway, so one of the things that I think is really fascinating about this brewery is that, one, they're in Flagstaff and they don't bend a knee to trying new wild stuff. I have tonight a barrel-aged wheat wine aged in Blanton bourbon barrels. It's 12%. It is called The Last Jackalope.
Okay.
It is this, you're not going to see this type of eclectic brewing from a lot of places. They just don't do it. Your Santans don't do it. Mother Road definitely does not do it. And I may get into it, or I may just leave it alone. We'll see. I'm still debating even giving them any airtime. Also, your Four Peaks, no.
Right.
It's a little frustrating when you get to some other breweries that just don't have this kind of imagination. These guys do it all. Their dark stuff is fantastic. They've got wheat wines like I'm having tonight. Their IPAs are fantastic. They do lagers, they do ales, they do everything, and they do it exceptionally well. And then they go ahead and they throw in something like, we're going to do a jalapeno IPA or a habanero IPA. You know, things like, I mean, they really push the limits, but they still keep their core. They still do some, an exceptional job at every point. So it's hats off to these guys. I love them. They're even big in the community. I'm going to take a drink here, get to the beer, but I want to show off something else that they're doing, which is absolutely fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
This
smells
like a barley wine.
Okay. Oh, fun.
It
Sounds
totally
like the kind of
smells
brewery
barley,
that
yeah.
if you and I and Jefe were to jump in and take this a big wheel into the brewing business, sounds like the kind of brewery that we would want to establish.
Man.
Take risks, give back to the community, have some fucking fun while you're doing it. Just what a cool vibe.
Oh man. Boozy.
So
It is a very calm barley wine, but you get a lot of booze. It's soft in the mouthfeel. I would even call it a delicate beer. This is not a sex
velvety?
beer. It is a little velvety. Yes, it is a little velvety. There's just too much heat at the end to call it a sex beer.
Okay.
But it is super. I'm really, really happy with starting off like that. I've got another one to follow it up from Wanderlust that I'm going to go to. So, but something I do want to point to.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, is it a date beer? So like you're on the date, it's pre-sex, right? It's the lead up to the sex. There's some hot flirting, there's some innuendos, there's some,
Yes.
The chemistry's there. But you're just not quite you're not wet enough yet to take it home.
She's touched your leg, her hands are running up and down your thigh, and you're starting to sweat.
All right.
That's what I got.
Okay. All right, you need to stop right now because I'm getting excited over here.
So Dark Sky, they founded a nonprofit called Dark Sky Community in 2021. They actually do scholarships. You can support them, and then you get a whole bunch of stuff back from them. But it looks like in let's see, in a couple of trips around the sun, Dark Sky Community has raised more than $420,000 for causes close to our hearts. The causes include support of schools and education, first responders, animals, diversity and inclusivity, human services, and so much more. But if you look at it, Lowell Observatory is in there. 988 Lifeline is there. They cover everything. It's not like, hey, we're just going to go out and do one thing. They actually spread it around because there's a lot of good causes.
That's
just
great.
really just a good, this is like a good feel good thing. And you could donate to it. And there's levels of donation that you can get into. It's really neat. Go to darkskybrewing.com. You can also go over to dsc-fundraising.org and look at all the stuff that they're doing there. And I'll tell you something. When I know that the beers are excellent, these guys are having fun with it. They're all about their customers. They are taking their community into account. I'm going to support somebody like this.
No, I love that. I think people don't realize the diversity of the state of Arizona. And I'm not saying this because I'm an Arizona native and I spent 40 years of my life there. I'm saying this because truly there's such diversity there. I mean, you can talk about the Phoenix metro area. I mean, the Phoenix metro area alone has more people in it than the entire state of Oregon, where I live now. There's only about 4 million people here in Oregon, and the Phoenix metro is up over 5 now. I don't know what the actual number is, but then you go south down to Tucson, and it's a totally different feel, totally different vibe. You're right back into almost some like hyper traditional, quasi Mexican native stuff. Also, just that desert landscape just really has crafted the people to be pretty hardy down there. But then you go north, and then you're in Flagstaff, and you're up in the mountains. They have a ski lodge up there. You've got a whole different native community up there with the Navajo Nation, and I think a few other tribes got relegated to that reservation up there. But it's just a totally different vibe, and Flagstaff's a little tiny hidden gem up there. You got NAU. I've dated a girl that went to NAU up there, so I spent a lot of time there with her, and I just love that little town. Only 80,000 people, but it's got a heart, it's got a soul, it's got a culture to it that's so unique, and I've never experienced it before or since. I just what you're saying. I mean, I feel like next time I'm down in Phoenix, I need to take the 2-hour hike up to Flag and check this place out, because it's just feels like it's just its own little animal, and I love that.
No, you absolutely. I think you encapsulated Flagstaff completely. So that was fantastic.
Jefe, how's it going tonight? I hope it's a better night than last night. Last night sucked for you.
Last night, it sucked at the beginning. Like the first 3 hours was shit. It got better, but still, when we start off, 3 hours of nothing, it's hard to recoup, make a good night of it. But it was decent.
That's starting a 50-yard dash 10 yards back.
Yeah. Tonight's slow again. It'll pick up, but at least I have something in my box. Last night I had nothing, but I got like $30 right now. So we'll see. It'll pick up.
Oh, that box. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you've always got something in your box, man.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a 4-ball right now, and I was doing the math, and I realized that it was going to be a 2-2 instead of a 4-ball. And in my table, there's a set. I just got the second of that 4-ball. So usually that dealer pushes through. Since they're already here, they get to keep in, and one of the new people draws a break that breaks up that 4-ball. And I asked her, I was like, hey, can I just take the break instead of being the one that pushes through? She's like, if you want to. I'm like, yeah, actually I do. I got a fucking podcast to do. Yes. but the only possible drawback is if roulette gets really busy, then the person me, that break between those 4 tables becomes the mucker. Like they pull that break person out and make them the mucker, and I don't want to muck, and I don't want to deal roulette. So
Yeah, no one wants to be the further mucker. How will we know that has happened? You just won't show up at 9 o'clock?
well, no, I'll still show up at 9 because the mucker and roulette are the 3rd and 4th legs of a 4-ball. So I'll still do 2 tables, but hopefully it'll just be 2 tables instead of mucking and roulette. So I'll be back. I'll be back. At 9 o'clock either way.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
for us, it's good. For you, I don't know. Could be.
Can we get an update on your yips? Are you back in it now?
I was doing better, and then last night I had a mucker for the first time, and for some reason that fucking threw me off. Like my first spin was shit, and then I was in my head again. So yeah, and I mean I didn't throw it off the table again, but I gotta have a nice just 20 minutes by myself at that table when it's dead and just kind of spin it and figure out what the fuck I'm doing. But you know what? So you guys know I have a lucky sock thing going on.
I did not know that.
No, I did not either.
Please tell.
It's kind of weird. So I wear black socks to work. I hate colored socks. Back when I worked at Fry's, I would wear white athletic socks under my black socks to go to work. That's how much I hated the feel of dark colored socks on my skin.
Wow. I don't know what to do with that.
Right?
Okay.
That's like a next level OCD thing.
I feel like this is.
Yeah, maybe, but it gets worse.
I feel like this is going to a place where we're going to learn a little something about Jefe that we didn't know before.
Well,
I think so too.
So I bought 2 different pairs. I bought 2 different bags of socks, I guess they are.
Bags? That's accurate.
One of them is just black. The other bag had like gray tinted, like where the toes and the heel are.
Right.
So when I do laundry, I just throw them all together. And I put them in the sock drawer all together, all the same spot. And I just grab 2 of them out when I'm getting ready to go to work. And
makes sense.
I realized I had a lucky night when I just grabbed 2 out, and the left one was solid black, and the right foot had the gray tips.
Aha. All right. I see where we're going with this. Yes.
But here's the thing. I can't do it on purpose. If I do it on purpose, it doesn't work. I have to just randomly pick 2 socks out and without looking, put them on my feet and hope that it's solid black on the left, gray on the right. And that's a good night.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
It's like you're playing roulette with your socks.
And I think, let me check. I think they're both solid black tonight. No, they're backwards. The gray is on the left, solid black on the right. So it's probably going to be a shitty night.
Damn it.
But I'm not resigning myself to that. I'm still out there trying to hustle and trying to do what I can do. I'm not just like throwing up the white flag, but it's still, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, my fucking socks said it's going to be shitty, or at least not good. Maybe not shitty, but not a great night like that. But it's funny because I'll put them on and I'll look at them like, oh, sweet. I got it, solid on the left, gray on the right. It's going to be a good night.
Sports guys, yeah, that have superstitions like that, or is it everybody? Because I feel like, well, I mean, I had when I was competing in martial arts tournaments, I had one cup that I wore for sparring, and then I had a special cup for my tournaments. And I couldn't wash it. I never washed it. I know that's disgusting, but it's absolutely true. I never washed that cup. In fact, I think it's still in my gear. And I'm not sure it's been washed still. And so we're talking what, like 18 years, 15 years that thing hasn't been washed, but I wouldn't wash it because I didn't want to wash off because I was winning. You know, I was doing good. And so is it just like that competitive nature, and then all of a sudden down to the thread of the fucking pants I'm wearing, it all has to be duplicated? Or do other people like just salesmen go to work and they're like, yes, nailed it, I'm wearing those slacks again next week? Like, I don't know. It just, because I have those things too, but I feel like it comes from all of us, our sports background, and not necessarily from like, you know, normal adjusted human beings who just like grew up normal. I don't know.
Jefe, did you have superstitions before playing ball?
Not really. Not that I remember. But you know what? I've never once in my life have I worn a cup.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, I remember you
Wow.
and I went and tried out for 7th grade baseball, and when they told us we had to wear a cup, we were like, we're out. I'm out.
I can't.
I'm not doing that.
This is stupid.
I'm not going to play ball. And you know what? I didn't really wear a cup for most things. But when I started, you know, having people trying to kick me in the groin, like it's just kind of and not even, sometimes they're not even trying to, it just happens. Yeah. So you just gotta, and also, you know, I got so massively big in my 20s, you know, I just got huge. And so you have to bottle it all up, you know? Yeah. I know, Jefe, I know you can't see my my avatar tonight, but it's actually a pretty accurate representation. I see it. Oh, you can see it? Oh, okay, that's me.
It's glorious.
Other than playing the flute, I don't know how to play the flute, but yeah. So you gotta put that in a cup. You know, you can't have that thing.
I think you can learn to play the flute. I have no doubt. Might be a piccolo, but you can still play the flute.
I can
the recorder,
blow?
maybe?
Dude, I can blow. I can blow. I did play the recorder back in the day. Yeah. I can play Mary Had a Little Lamb still to this day. You give me a recorder, I'll blow the shit out of that thing. Well, there you have it, folks. Now you know a little bit more about the Whiskey Hellboys. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, in our superstitions. Jefe, you're going to be back a little later. Goodness. Do you have a farm report or no?
Yes. I do.
Yes.
I sure as hell do.
All right.
Well,
we're definitely looking forward.
I mean,
to
if that doesn't get you folks to stick around, I don't know what will.
It's a bit morbid.
Okay, we can handle morbid.
Just a little.
I mean, we're facing down World War III right now. So like morbid like is really relative at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. When is it going to start?
World War III?
Yeah. Or as
I mean,
well,
I'm
dude
saying
in
in the
India
next 4
said
or
the
6
18th.
weeks here.
Well, the dude in India said it's like the 18th. Yeah, the new Nostradamus said it's the 18th that we're all going to die. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Of this month, of June?
Yeah. Next week. In 3 days, I think. What's the day?
Nice.
15th? Yeah, 3 days. Yeah, you got 3 days.
That's cool.
So.
Well, I mean, I got plenty of beer in the fridge. I guess I could just get shitty and watch the world end.
Mm-hmm.
We've never talked about what we would do during, like when, if you knew the nukes were flying, what would you actually do? I mean, I would probably try and have sex with something. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's a big question, dude. That's a big question. I guess we should talk about that at some point.
We should.
Because I mean, I've thought about it. I've definitely thought about it.
If we make it through this week and the Indian dude is wrong, I'll look up his name because that's terribly racist for me to just call him the Indian dude.
Yeah.
I'll look at that. I'll effort that. We should get into that next week and have that as a topic. What would you do if the bombs are coming and you can't do anything about it? Because the guns aren't going to matter, right? I mean, it's just right. You got 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
would
really
play
terrible
Fitz's
way to.
skin flute.
All right.
You would do
So-
you would do what, Jefe? What'd you say?
I said I would play Fitz's skin flute.
Oh God. Okay. All right. This is one of those times I'm glad we're 1,600 miles away right now, apart.
Well, you are. Like a part of you is like 1,500 miles away.
Well, true.
All right, I'm gonna go. Or before I say something stupid.
All right,
Okay.
We'll see you in a bit.
All right, all right. See ya.
Later. Oh shit! Nobody knows. So we actually struggled before the show to make sure that Jefe was going to be on for a bit. So I'm glad we got that first taste. So it's good. All right, glad we were able to get Jefe in for his first break. Pivoting to news. I don't know. There's a lot to get into as far as the Cuba-Russia thing because everybody's just kind of forgotten about it. It seems like it's not that big of a deal. I will say this though, Fitz. So I think there was 4 different ships that pulled into in Cuban harbor this week, as well as a Russian nuclear sub. This happening shows that Russia doesn't spend a whole lot of time provoking us down in that area. They'll go into the Baltic and they'll fuck around Alaska a lot. We both do. But not down south. They don't go in there. That's my biggest takeaway from Russia's actions this past week.
Yeah, I mean that's a half a world away, and I think they're not sort of the global police that we are, and so I think they just kind of keep most of their fleet fairly close to home. But I think it was a message, and the message was, how does it feel? How does it feel to have possibly some nukes parked off your coast? How does it feel to have a threat that close to home? I mean, I heard one gentleman talking. He's well, you know who it was? What the hell? Shit, I'm gonna forget his name. Mark something. He was the ex UN weapons investigator who went into Iraq and didn't find any WMDs, and then he got fired, and he took the brunt of all that. But he's actually a good guy, former Marine. Anyway, he was talking, and he's like, that they're parked close enough that there's literally nothing we could do if they do have nukes present on any of those ships, up to and including the sub. He said, we're 17 seconds away. Everybody on the eastern board is 17 seconds away from being dead. I mean, there's literally nothing we could do. We don't have anything that could stop it. And that's a fucking wake up call. I don't really know why it's not a bigger deal. I mean, we definitely heard about it this week, but it's not like the Cuban Missile Crisis where there was no other news the last time that happened. That's all you heard about. And now, again, going back to my fucking feed this week was just, Biden good, Trump bad, and we're all going to die next year anyway because we're going to bake from the global warming. But it's a big deal. It's a big deal that Russia parked some boats 66 miles, I believe, is how close the closest one got, off our coast. That's nothing. That's like, a 2-yard field goal. Like, you can't miss. If they wanted to fire off some nukes and hit Miami, hit DC, hit New York, Baltimore, Boston, you name it, New York City, gone. They're off the map, and World War III has started. Just like that. Absolute insanity.
Well, Fitz, I think what we're missing is what Lindsey Graham has to say about Ukraine and why there's not going to be any kind of deal. There's not going to be any kind of ceasefire.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But here's why.
What did
Yeah.
Trump do to get
Pay
the
attention.
weapons flowing? He created a loan system. They're sitting on $10 to $12 trillion of critical minerals in Ukraine. They could be the richest country in all of Europe. I don't want to give that money and those assets to Putin to share with China. If we help Ukraine now, they can become the best business partner we ever dreamed of. That $10 to $12 trillion of critical mineral assets could be used by Ukraine and the West, not given to Putin and China. This is a very big deal how Ukraine ends. Let's help them win a war we can't afford to lose. Let's find a solution to this war. But they're sitting on a gold mine to give Putin $10 or $12 trillion of critical minerals that he will share with China is ridiculous.
I want.
All right. So thank you, Lindsey Graham, for saying the quiet part out loud that we've been saying for probably the last year and a half. It took that fucking long for it to come out. So here, just to recap. So last week's show, we talked about Biden okaying Ukraine's going ahead and using long-range weapons 200 miles into Russia. Russia turns around and responds with, well, fuck you. We're going to go ahead and put some, we're going to go ahead and park a nuclear sub and 3 or 4 destroyers and you know, a little armada in Cuba right off of Florida. Now, come along Lindsey Graham in his little tirade there, making it very clear that this is not just about Russia and wanting to have, property in or NATO property in Ukraine. It's about the resources that Ukraine has. This put me into a very different perspective this week, Fitz, because it's not. It makes me think that, well, we're going to go ahead and push Ukraine. We're going to keep pumping money in there, keep laundering money, make sure Zelensky's well-funded and he can buy his resort casinos in the Mediterranean, and just kill off a generation of Ukrainian men. And then we see a story that came up this week that NATO is ready to drop 300,000 troops into Ukraine. Tell me this was not a land grab.
Oh, 100% was. And I, remember back in the early days of this conflict, when they were trying to push the bullshit narrative that we care about democracy and that we that Ukraine is a cornerstone of democracy,
right?
And we care about the Ukrainian people. And there was all this rhetoric when the rest of us were stepping back, going, okay, first of all, it's one of the most corrupt nations in Europe, and that was widely agreed upon before this conflict happened. I mean, most New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, they all had written articles about how corrupt Ukraine was because they installed this puppet government after the color revolution. Which is ironic because of their liberal stances. Well, right, exactly. And which we funded the color revolutions. And then we want to step back and be like, oh, they're so corrupt in people and what our hero Zelensky is, Putin. And now it's like, actually, we don't give a shit about the Ukrainian people. We definitely don't give a fucking an iota of shit about Zelensky. It's all about the land grab, the minerals that are down there. And it was very interesting that he said $10 to $12 trillion worth of minerals, not oil, minerals. So that leads right into this, it's all connected. It leads into the climate scam bullshit, which means we need more batteries to run our electric cars, which means we're going to need ding, 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 minerals. And it's like, holy shit, when you actually have the ability, as we have learned in the last 5 or 6 years to do, and really in the last 4 years, to zoom out and truly see the big picture. It is alarming. It's also a fucking joke. You can see it coming from a mile away. And it's sad to see the other people that are still down on ground level going, yep, I really am here for the Ukrainian people. I want my tax dollars going over there, not taking care of my country. I want them to take care of that country because they're democracy and they're awesome. It's sad. it's really sad to see, and I won't even say liberals. It's sad to see anybody. I don't give a fuck where you come from, what your philosophical background is. It's sad to see someone say we have to defend Ukraine. I really, it's going to be, it's quickly becoming a new version of Vietnam, because we never gave a shit about the Vietnamese people. That was all about the cocaine and the meth. And where all that CIA drug money went, who knows?
Poppies and all kinds of fun.
Yeah. So anyway, crazy shit. I can't believe, well, I can believe it, because these politicians, they barely have 2 IQ points to rub together. So I can believe that he said it, and that he said it proudly. I mean, he's like, yeah, fuck the Ukrainian people. We just want their minerals. We want all that lithium, baby. All that titanium. Jesus.
Is it just lithium? They've got, I think, let's, as we do, right?
Yeah, let's see what they've got.
What minerals are located in Ukraine?
Shit, cobalt could be another big one.
I think cobalt
Copper.
is definitely one. Oh, look, gold.
Gold, Jesus.
Make sure you're not sitting on a pile of gold, because Ukraine is a treasure trove of minerals. It has 20,000 deposits of 194 known minerals, Fitz, with 7,800 deposits of over 90 holding important industrial minerals. Ukraine is particularly rich in coal, iron, manganese, and non-metallic raw materials. In fact, it has the world's 7th largest and Europe's 2nd largest coal reserve. I thought coal was against climate change.
Well, how are you going to make the batteries, McShane? You need coal.
God damn it. Okay. With an estimated 34 billion tons of coal. It's also one of the top 10 producers of manganese ore in the world, with the largest manganese ore reserve in Europe. And if you're feeling a bit rusty, Ukraine, this is from Grok, Ukraine has you covered with its significant iron ore reserves, making it one of the leading countries in the world for iron ore. So next time you're digging around in Ukraine, you might just strike it rich. I don't know. It's not about the people. It's not about Russian aggression. It has nothing to do with Donbass. It has nothing to do with any. It has to do with we're going after resources. It's like what we do all the time. Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, anywhere in this, anywhere that's the least bit weak, that's what we go after.
But what's different about this one is that you had Saddam Hussein, you had Osama bin Laden, these were at their best, they were tribal leaders, that had maybe 10 to 20% of the population backing them and ready to go to war for them. And so they were cakewalks. They were a way for our U.S. military to try out some new toys, our special forces guys to get a good, workout, but they weren't a challenge. You remember how easily we just walked through Saddam Hussein's, tank brigade. That he threw everything he had at us in his first go round, and then he had nothing. We just walked through it. The difference is now we're dealing with a certifiable, legit strategist, military man, ex-KGB, psychopath, and I'm not saying psychopath in the sense that he's a serial killer or something, but just if you watch his interviews, man, he's just cold and right to the point. Like he is a logical. He might as well be a fucking. Yeah, he might as well be a on the spectrum. Like he has zero emotion in any of this. Like, look, if you cross this line, I will absolutely annihilate the planet in nukes because I don't care. So that's the difference here. Is like we're playing old school games that we used to play back in the schoolyard, and we were the biggest kid on the schoolyard. And now we just got to high school, and we're fucking with the biggest guy in high school. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to take this shit from you. I dare you. I dare you to put your hands on me. And that's where we're at.
he never would have said that, though. That feeling never would have been there until we got to where we are over the last 20 years. If we had been as strong as we were in the late 80s, early 90s, this isn't a factor. We don't walk around. Nobody believes in us. And let's think about this too, because with all of this happening, and you called it last week, the petrodollar is gone. So now we have virtually no leverage. So they can go ahead and drop in, a little armada off the coast of Cuba. They can go into South Africa and take over Niger. We're not king shit on the block, and we're not going to have the money to fund everything. And the economy, let's face it, the economy is going to tank now because we don't have that kind of backing unless we start a war.
Yeah. Yeah, wars make money. There's a strong argument that, World War II kicked off because we were in a pretty bad way economically. And we were just lucky that Germany was in a worse way economically. Yep. And what do you know, why would they start a war? Well, their economy was shit. So they needed to make money too. So yeah, I mean, it's not as simple as walking in and okay, we're just going to walk in and take all of the Russian gold and all their gold fillings from the people that we kill in concentration camps. It's not like that anymore. You can't be a Hitler and walk around just, funding your war chest by the baubles that you collect along the way.
Correct.
This is modern day warfare. This is a day and age when the possibility of complete and total human annihilation is a real possibility. And so the fact that we're not treating this with more concern, that we're cavalier, that Lindsey Graham can get on and just say, hey, listen, it's about 10 to 12 trillion dollars worth of shit that the Ukrainians are sitting on. It's not about, you and yours and your sons and daughters going to fight for this war. No, it's not about any of that. It's not about the people. Come on. It's about the money. I just, if you're not awake yet, people, motherfuck, wake up. Because they don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about any of the human casualties in any of it. All they care about is making themselves more wealthy. And if that's not obvious to you now, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I was about to say something terrible. I'm not going to say it.
June 14th, the House of Representatives has passed a measure that would automatically register men between the ages of 18 and 26 for selective service. We called this a few weeks ago. And they've also added to it that they're going to push to have women included with it.
Yes, they are. So, sons and daughters.
It doesn't matter if you're trans. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at that point, right?
Nope.
I hope you're ready to go fight.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say something that's kind of a broad brushstroke, but it's there's some truth to it. This generation of young people is probably the least prepared to fight than we've had in a long time. They have grown up in a very, very soft culture. We have done nothing to make these men and women hard. They are compassionate. There's so many things about them that I admire. They're compassionate. They're very bright. They know technology in a way that we will never know because they don't know any other way. They have so many good qualities. None of those qualities are good for war, except maybe the tech piece. But being soft and compassionate and caring about your fellow man, which they are, and I so admire that. That's not what you need in war. You have to be cold, and you have to be willing to do things that you never thought you would do. And so we're just going to conscript these young people into an army to go fight for what? For what, Lindsey Graham? Say it again. 10 to 12
resources, cobalt, magnesium.
And is that what you want your son or daughter fighting for?
It scares the hell out of me. It really, really
Me
does.
too.
I have, we've talked about this on the show. I have an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old right now. And goddamn, I mean, I can't imagine them going to war. And Moxie, I know you've got kids in the fucking theater right now. Like, I know they're deep in it. Like, drop a wrench and the enemy knows where you are, kind of stuff. It scares the shit out of me. And to know that this isn't a threat to the United States. It's a threat to our fucking resources. We're that fucking weak. Really? Weak men create weak times. That's where we're at, Fitz. And it's fucking frustrating.
Yep. It is frustrating. It is frustrating. I know a lot of young people too. You know, I got a niece and nephew. Well, they're my wife's niece and nephew, but they're mine too.
Yep.
I just went to a high school graduation this week for the young lady that was staying with me for a while when her mom was going through a rough time of seizures and all of that. I just went to her graduation this week, and it's like watching my own fucking daughter graduate. And she's a tough kid, but I'll tell you what, she's not ready for war. She's not ready for war. And I know war has a way of getting you ready for it because that's just what war does. But how many people around you have to die before you wake up and go, okay, I guess I got to be cutthroat now. I mean, I don't want to see that happen to this generation.
You don't want them to lose that innocence.
I really don't.
You don't want them to lose that innocence. You don't want them to lose that.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody talks about a lack of empathy and not being able to care for the world and all this kind of stuff. All this kind of stuff. This is not going to be a popular thing to say. Empathy doesn't get you anywhere anymore. I can have empathy, but unless the government has empathy, it doesn't fucking matter. My neighbor can have empathy, but unless, the person that's going to be picking up their trash or who's going to be putting in new laws or the person who decides that they have to pull them over, because they didn't stop at a stop sign has empathy, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter when, we've got 18 and 26-year-olds going to the draft board and they're like, I don't want to go. Well, I'm sorry. You don't have a choice. That's where we're at with this. And they're going to be, we're so not compared because there's two angles of this. One, we don't want to lose that innocence. But two, you and I can sit here and go, okay, we can shift into that cutthroat. I have absolutely no doubt that we can shift into that cold-hearted, fucking terrible place and move back and forth. I know I can. I don't know that our youth can do that, like you were saying. I mean, when you start looking at the gravity of that, and then you're trying to position a win off of that, holding a hill, holding up, all those things that we've seen in the movies that we've read about, all of that history, those valiant moments. I don't know. I don't know if our grandfathers and grandmothers ever were sat in this place before World War II and said, God damn, I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if that was the thing, but I'm sitting here going, I don't know. I don't know if we've got that in us.
Yeah, I just don't think these young people, I know there are some that definitely,
some of them are hard.
Shift into
absolutely.
That. Yeah,
absolutely.
They can shift into that gear, but most of them, and I'm going to say particularly from large cities, large, metropolitan areas,
absolutely.
they just don't have that gear. They can't switch into that.
No.
There was a joke.
They're not going to be able to find their lattes. Right, they're not going to be able to find, they're not going to be able to wear their peace shirt and their BLM emblem isn't going to fucking matter when somebody's shooting at you with a sniper rifle. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, or they won't put on the black shit on their face to black out their white skin for a nighttime invasion because blackface is bad.
Oh Jesus.
There was a joke going around back in the
that person needs to be shot.
Yeah.
If that's the reaction, Jesus.
I went there. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm not trying to.
But that's where
I'm
we're
not
at,
trying to justify
Fitz.
blackface, but I'm just saying,
No,
you got to
but
do hard shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
But no, there was that joke, and I don't remember the comedian that was telling it, but he was basing it on facts. He basically said like, that the Bloods and the Crips in L.A. Had enough weaponry between those two gangs. They had enough weaponry to take most of Central and South America. I mean, that's they were in one city in our country. They had enough guns and guys who knew how to fire them to go and take all of Central and South America. And so that was like the 80s and 90s. Like that's the shit that some of those guys grew up in. And now I'm not saying those guns aren't out there. I'm saying that that culture of being hard and being tough and being a survivor, it's not coveted like it was back when we were growing up. And I'm not necessarily even saying that's a bad thing. I'm not. I'm just saying it is what it is, and if we're going to go to war, it's probably a bad thing. I mean, it's probably a bad thing.
I want the census to go and throw out a question that actually pertains to the number of gangbangers. Because, okay, so something threw down. This is probably going to derail like going to break. But if you had a bunch of gangbangers and we'll say that whoever was going to go ahead and invade, we'll say they're going to California. Can you imagine trying to take Oakland or Compton?
No.
Or
No.
LA?
Chicago?
The guerrilla warfare would be unfucking real.
Those
I would
people
think.
They know those neighborhoods so well. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
but they would have heart to. They would be the ones that would have heart to hold it, whereas everybody else is running to the hills. You know, they're running north. They're running to. I mean, they're running. I just there's so much softness, and it's scary. It's very scary.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Hey,
Right.
we never got to our toasts, and I don't know if we want to do it before the break or after the break.
We didn't.
No.
Let's get to it after the break.
Okay.
We'll dive right into that. We'll hit the second beers real quick. How did that one finish for you?
Dude, this was one of those beers. I took my last sip, and you and I were talking and just, doing what we do. And then I went to grab my cup again, and it was all gone. And I was like, holy shit, I finished that already? It went down way too fast, way too easy. Very, very clean, well done beer. I mean, it's kind of one of those beers that you want to hold up and be like, hey, if you're going to make a porter, this is how you do it. This is what a porter should be. Dark, robust, little bit of chocolate, little bit of coffee, and then go along your merry way. Beautiful, beautiful beer. I really liked it. I'm very impressed by that brewery. Because this is 2 for 2 now. So how about you? How'd your beer go?
Oh, fantastic. Super, very, very. I'm not a big wheat wine guy. First of all, it's a weird. It's a weird type of beer to make. Not your usual thing at all, but it is seriously very. This was mellow, and the ABV sneaks up on you. The second half of the show is going to be a shit show. I'm just going to tell you right now. And but it was just a fantastic beer. Fantastic beer. Well done.
Well, first of all, when is this show not a shit show? And second of all, I'm at the risk of beating a dead horse here. Dark Sky Brewing, good on you guys. You're doing it right. You're taking risks. You're doing some different shit. You're giving back to the community. You're a part of the community. Very cool shit. I well done.
Let's go with. We're gonna go to break, and because I feel the need to educate Jay tonight. Jay, you need to hear the next song. This is Won't Be Coming Back by the Transplants. Now, you're not going to hear it for those of you who are not Patreons, But this is what happens during our break. We'll talk to you in a minute. Fitz, I'm going with Wanderlust, and I'm going with a beer that I do not think I've had on the show before. I don't think I have. We'll see. This is Dark Canyon. It's a Russian Imperial Stout, and it is a big beast.
What's the ABV on that bastard?
This son of a gun. Please hold. It's not as viscous as a lot of Russian Imperials, by the way. It's 12. So I got 2 12s back to back. Dark Canyon, the Dark Canyon Wilderness in Utah has canyons so narrow that they're impenetrable to sunlight for most of the day. Much like those canyons, the inky blackness of our Imperial Stout is a complex and rich experience. Flavors of roasted coffee, chocolate, molasses settle onto the tongue, which are followed by a subtle whiskey and wood aftertaste from the months spent in barrels. Bottle conditioned, mind the yeast. It's barrel aged. It's an Imperial Stout. They do not say what kind of barrels they used for it. Now, the thing to keep in mind with Wanderlust is their MO is 1 Saisons, 2 sours, and they're not typically a dark beer. We're talking triples and Belgians.
Right.
That's what these guys do.
Right.
So I'm excited to see how they did with this one.
Yeah, I hope they. Well, I don't hope. I'm pretty sure they probably did it right.
I have a campfire in my mouth, Fitz.
Some smoke, huh?
Yeah, that's what the barrel was, though. You still have some chocolate. It's mouth-watering, which is really, really good. But there's a lot of wood to it. There's a lot of. Have you ever driven through the wilderness after a wildfire?
Well, yeah, I have. You know where I live.
Yeah, several times, many times. In fact, oddly enough, I was driving back from Phoenix today. I drove down to Phoenix. Yes, judge me all you want. I went with my youngest and one of his buddies to a Funko. What the hell fuck do you call it? It was this gigantic Funko pop culture. Like they were getting rid of a ton of stuff from their factory, or it was their distribution center, right?
Okay.
We were driving back, and I drove through this one patch, and you've done this in Arizona. You're driving up the 10, and it is just nothing but smoke coming up from little fires that were along the road.
Oh wow!
That's what I'm getting in my mouth right now.
That's what she said.
And Jefe's here.
Well timed, Jefe. Speaking of being in people's mouths.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm starting off the second half of the show with, Fitz. What do you have there?
Nice. Well, I'll keep it short since Jefe's here, but and I'll let our listeners, I'll let you guys figure out why I chose this beer for this evening. But this beer is called Death and Taxes Black.
Fun.
Yeah, this is from Moonlight Brewing Company. Death and Taxes Black beer. It's just a black lager. Deceptively dark, yet surprisingly light-bodied, drinkable, and perfectly refreshing and delicious. I have had this beer before. I don't think I've done it on the show. But Jefe, this is actually a beer I think that you would a dark beer that you would like. Because it looks like a stout, but it goes down like a pilsner or a lager. Almost like a Cascadian dark ale. It's just super. There's just some flavor notes in there. I think that you would kind of get off on.
Nice.
You get off on a lot. But I just think you would like this beer.
That White Russian beer that Steve had the other night.
Oh, yeah. That looked amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
So I didn't get to have that. I'm gonna actually start reaching out to. Well, I'm gonna start with Beer Barn and see if they can bring that in. That was from Adroit Theory.
okay.
Such a great brewery.
fucking. Walking boner type stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're unreal. Which if we were gonna do, I would put them on the list of vacation type brewers. I would go there to just to check them out. But yeah, that was a White Russian Imperial Stout, Jefe. That I got a hunch. If it's anywhere close to a White Russian, you're gonna fill your proverbial cup, your catcher's cup.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Your Lindsay cup, right? That's what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Jefe, rumor is out on the street, the 411 is that you have a farm report for us, and it's a heavy one.
It's not really heavy. It's just a little. No, it's fine. It's fine. Let's roll it.
All right.
All right, we're going to start with a quick little trivia question. You guys can participate. What is the most common in number type of livestock in the world? And for a bonus, you can guess how many of them there are.
Oh,
Most
I'm gonna
common
go with
livestock.
I'm gonna go with chickens.
Yeah, that was my first guess too, but I actually
Was that too easy?
I think it's something else that we're not.
It's
not
like some
thinking.
country that we're not. What if it's crickets?
Right, like China. Yeah, right. Like bug harvesting. Yeah.
Oh
all right.
shit! Yeah, if
I
he
mean,
goes
I don't-
there, motherfucker. Okay.
I mean, you did say in terms of numbers, and I know that they grow like there's cricket farms that grow like billions at a time.
Stupid numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
God damn it!
I'm
This is
gonna
gonna be
go
terrible.
with bugs. Yeah.
Well, Hefe's data, which I don't know how deep it goes, but my data says it's chickens.
Okay. All right. Good.
Oh, thankfully. All right.
Ding ding ding.
And
Good
how
job,
many-
McShane.
How many do you think there are?
I'm going to go with 1.4 billion. I have no idea.
Jesus. Yeah, that sounds like a great number. I know I'm gonna raise McShane 1.5 billion.
Without going over. Who's correct?
Yeah.
22.8 billion.
Wow.
Whoa! Seriously?
Wow.
Yes.
That's almost 3 chickens per person on the planet.
Yeah.
You know what? This is how valuable this bit is. Fitz, we never would have understood what it actually means for a chicken farm to get, the bird flu or, 1 million chickens to be slaughtered because of a fire or something. The perspective just blew my fucking mind. It's really not that big of a deal anymore. Thank you, Jefe.
Yeah,
All right, well,
that's huge.
Here's your real report. All right, ready? What's
right.
what's the most common? What's the most common cause of death on a farm? What do you think?
Slaughter?
For humans. For humans.
Geez.
Oh,
I come from a long line of farmers. I would say like getting caught in the equipment.
Yeah. I'm going to go with falling into what is it called? Fitz, what is it? A combine?
Yeah, you
Is
can
that-
fall into
is
a
that
combine.
right?
Actually, there's quite a few people that fall into silos. Did you know that that's a thing? You can actually be sucked down into the silo and be drowned by the grain. That's a
little
thing.
a little foreshadowing for next week's farm report there, Silo.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but I don't think that many people die from silo sucking. But it does have. I know that's an actual threat. Actually, you know what? Now that you say that, Jefe, I think the most common cause is I'm gonna say machine Machine eats person.
You're close. It's tractor rollovers.
Yeah. There you go.
What?
That's
They
yeah.
they account for more than half of all farm-related deaths. In fact, a real farmer, a legit farmer, 1 in 10 will experience some kind of a tractor wreck in their life.
Tractor. Okay, Jay called it in chat.
Yeah.
He said a tractor accident.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are
Well, that's
you
your farmer.
serious? Hold
Yeah.
on.
I mean,
Wait.
that's the Jeremy Renner, right? He almost got eaten by a snowcat.
Yeah.
We got to take it out. Here we go. Holy shit! I had no idea.
You know the best part of that sound, McShane, is that, and you guys can't see this at home, but I'm going to describe it for you. Steve has the audio file here up on the screen. Oh, he just took it away. But the audio, what it looks like, you have, audio going up and down, and it looks, spiky. And at the end, when the cow moves, it looks like an actual cow's ass. That's what the audio file looks like. When it goes mirror, it looks like a cow's ass. And I can't stop watching that. And I don't know what that says about me as an individual, but I fucking love it.
Okay, Jeff, Jefe, that was fantastic.
But
that puts so much into perspective, though, and that gives us a great pivot. Let's talk about. Let me get down to it here. Hold on. Let's go to an Idaho farmer.
Okay. Oh, let's right into Idaho. Yeah. It's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal.
Farmers in eastern Idaho could soon be out of water after the state issued a water curtailment order on about 500,000 acres of farmland in the state.
The move could devastate farms which have been in families for generations, with the economic impact potentially rippling out to the rest of the country. Join us now, one of those East Idaho farmers, Brian Murdoch. Brian, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. So talk to us, what is going on in Idaho where they're curtailing your water supply that you need for your farms?
Well, like as you said, the state of Idaho and the Idaho Department of Water Resources has issued this curtailment of 500,000 acres. And to help put that in perspective, that's basically 781 square miles of farm ground that is being taken out of production, this is the largest curtailment in the history of the United States as far as farm ground. And of course, the worst problem is this is happening during a very plentiful water year. We have the reservoirs are completely full. And when I mean full, they're dang near breaking. The rivers are running as high as they possibly can, just trying to keep those dams from breaking. And I am personally going to look at a $3 million loss if this curtailment continues. And this will end my 135-year family farm legacy of growing potatoes in Idaho. And I'm one of the smaller farms, but let me tell you the impact. As a potato grower, I grow 23 million large orders of McDonald's French fries. And of the grain side of my operation, I grow 16 million loaves of bread. And with today's issues of farm ground being taken over and farm security, that's a significant amount. And I amount to less than 1% of really what this curtailment is about.
Brian, can't the governor and the leadership in Idaho do something about it? This just seems like it's urgent and fix it. Isn't that their job?
Yes, that is their job. The governor has the ability in the Constitution to end this curtailment. That's part of his role and part of his job. And so, yes, if the governor wanted to, we could end this curtailment today.
And why isn't he?
Because he's choosing to try to make the two groups, us and this canal system, which is down in southern Idaho, try to fight it out in what we call mitigation. and come up with a private agreement amongst ourselves rather than following the way the Idaho Constitution and the water law has kind of dictated that it should be. We are checkmated legally as far as these lawyers from this Southern Canal. They've definitely done a good job doing that, but we are not experiencing a full economic benefit of the resource.
So they're going to let, the leadership is just going to let the farmland dry up real quick, Brian.
Yes, that's exactly what they are intending to do.
You know what? These guys are attacking our food supply. Brian, we appreciate what you do, and I love the sign behind you, trust in the Lord. And we put Dagan and I before you came on.
Jefe, you may have the most important bit that we have on the show, because while it's tongue in cheek, right, it brings about an incredible amount of importance. If we don't have food in the country, if we don't have access to water, if we don't have access to resources that are going to benefit everybody in the country, especially from the agricultural side of things, we're not going to survive. Now, this gentleman this Brian Murdoch. This is not a new issue. We've dealt with this here in Arizona, and we talked about this either a year and a half ago. We were talking about the Saudis, how they have their little horse fields in alfalfa, making sure that they have feed for their horses and all this kind of bullshit, where they monopolized the water. Jefe, you're just a spark plug for awesome shit that we need to talk about more. So I think from now on, whenever you have a farm report, Fitz and I have to find something that are going to allow us to pivot off of that into something major like this. So thank you, Jefe.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
My pleasure.
It's Oh, go ahead, Jefe. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
it's a fucked up story, and I wonder why. Is it all come down to money? Are they holding the water for monetary purposes?
No, I don't actually think it is money. I think I because I did do a little bit of digging on this. I just sent a video to our chat. We should probably share it with the Whiskey Hell insiders as well. But these people they've been, it's kind of like this guy. They've been on a farm for generations. And they water their crops with their own well that's on their own land. It's got nothing to do with, the federal water supply. They have their own shit on their own land, and they're still not allowed to turn on the spigots. And this video was basically saying, "Hey, let's do it. Like let's make this happen. If you have your own well, turn it on. Like fuck the government." And I'm with them. I fully support them, and I do feel like the more I research this stuff, the more I'm convinced that it's a concerted effort to damage our food supply. I don't know how else to take it. I've tried to give the benefit of the doubt, with the burning of all the chicken farms because of avian flu and the culling of the cattle herds, the millions of cattle that were killed because I don't even remember why they did that one down in Texas.
Oh no, it was in because okay, so so Texas was no. Texas was a fire.
Oh yeah, right.
But then you also have all the culling that took place in Scotland.
Yeah,
and
Ireland.
You've had others. Yeah, you haven't had culling here yet, but you have random fires that just kind of pop up that just wiped out 18,000 or 180,000 or however many cattle. It's a big deal. All right, Jefe.
All right, man. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night, man.
Yeah, have a good night. All right. See ya.
Yep. Later.
I don't know if we ever intended for this to pivot like that, but this is one of the most serious subjects we have. So the fact that he can bring in some levity or some lunacy or some kind of think about this. It's really a big fucking deal.
It is 100%. And I have tried to find, the positives. Like, okay, you're culling these 22 million chickens or whatever it was because of the bird flu. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they really are kind of stopping a pandemic that could spread to humans. But
Sure,
really, there's no
could
evidence
be.
for that. There's no evidence for that. There's that one guy down in Mexico that we talked about last week. And if you haven't checked out last week's show, go check that out. There's one guy down in Mexico, not the US, not New Mexico, Mexico City, who died from avian flu. And so we started culling all of our chicken herds because of they found flu, which, by the way, little known fact, and go ahead and check me on this because it's 100% accurate. They are using PCR tests. You remember those?
You mean the ones that are
we were using
3%
for
accurate?
COVID.
3% accurate, right?
3%, the ones that found that there was COVID in orange juice and in urine and in water, like
right.
So they're using PCR tests on chickens. And again,
okay, how do you do that? Seriously, do you shove it? Do you take that and shove it up into their nasal cavity? I mean, I don't really want to go here, but I feel like I need to.
No, I think they were doing it with the blood. Like they terminated a chicken and then tested the blood. The problem with the PCR test, and I'm not going to get into the science here. You can definitely go. There's a 24 YouTube videos out on this, so go watch them if you don't know. But the problem with the PCR test is it was originally designed to run, I think it's 8 to 10 cycles. I might be off on that, but if you run anything enough times, you'll find a positive. So in other words, if it's recommended you run 8 to 10 cycles to see if you can get a positive, if you run it 240 cycles, you're going to get a positive eventually. And some of these PCR tests that they were running for, the COVID for humans, they were running them 1,000, 1,500, these astronomical numbers that are so far beyond what the PCR test was designed.
Let's do it until we get to a positive.
That's what it came down. Yeah. Exactly. You run it until you get what you want to see. And so they're doing the same thing here with these chickens, and with a completely unreliable test, with something that's been shown to be unreliable. Even the creator of the PCR test said you shouldn't be using it like this. That's not what it was intended for. And so you start seeing these like targeted attacks on our food supply, and not just our food supply, but specifically proteins that you need to grow big, strong guys and women. I know some women get big and strong too, but I'm just saying naturally, when I'm eating like 60 to 70% protein in my diet, dude, I feel great. I feel more like a man than I ever have. My workouts are great. My ability to do work, to do output increases
you're awake,
exponentially.
You're alert.
Yes. And so that's what they're attacking.
You're ready to fucking go. You're on the fucking job.
I'm ready to fuck, fight, and kill. That's what I'm ready to do when I eat that kind of diet. And that's exactly what they don't want from you, from me, from Jefe, from males that come from that mindset. They want us soft and weak and unable to
produce.
Yeah, that's a great word. Produce work, produce kids, produce. We can't.
Wow. You know what? I don't think we ever intended to be doom and gloom tonight, but we're going to fucking ride this. We're going to fucking ride this into the fucking storm.
Okay. Hey, real quick before we ride off into the dark storm, can we do our cheers?
No, Jesus Christ. Yes, absolutely.
We still haven't done that. We keep getting sidetracked.
It's one of those nights. There's a lot of excitement. We talked about this. It was going to be a compact show. There's a lot of fucking energy. It's like it was a tight fucking show. Yes.
Yep.
Lead off, brother. What do you got?
Okay. All right. My first toast is to our brothers across the sea, across the pond, from the Semi-Skeptic podcast.
Yes.
I mentioned it earlier in the show. We just had such a great time with them. And on top of that, I think the design of their show, the way they structure what they talk about, we really got to get into some stuff that you and I kind of tried to, we try to shy away from here on the show.
We
which is
skirt
like
it.
The true,
We skirt it. Yep.
Yeah, we skirt it. I mean, the conspiracy theory stuff where we don't want to turn listeners off just because we have strong feelings about a thing. Where a semi-skeptic, they just tackle that straight on, and so their listenership is into that already. And so they know what they're going to get into. We got into the weeds with 9/11. We got into the weeds with all kinds of fun stuff. And what a fun show to be on, first of all, but what a great
Absolutely.
Platform to present to the public that if you're into this stuff and you want to know more, like they present it and they ask the right questions, the really good questions. So my first cheers is off to those two intolerable blokes, because they are British. But we love you guys, and cheers.
Cheers. Totally. I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. And they do conquer so many other subjects we don't get into. And I don't want us to ever get into those because we deal with what's happening here and now, but they make you think about what happened and how we got to here. And that's incredibly important. History matters. Fucking it so matters. Yep. So thank you, Aaron and Chris, for having us on. My toast is going to be to the 18-year-old dudes that are hanging out with my son. You know what, Fitz? I ran out to get my beer, and you know what? My wife, so she goes, hey, some of the kids are here. Okay, like whatever. Some of the kids are outside doing whatever, and then there's like 3 or 4 kids that went to the gym.
Oh wow.
My kid's at the gym right now.
Wow.
Now it is 9:25 at night. Now what matters to me is that there's a congregation, there's affiliation, there's the need to like be doing better for yourselves. And that's where he went. That's fucking rad. So here's to those guys who went to the gym. It's huge fucking rad. I'm glad all these guys came out, but that at the end of the day, that's fucking rad.
Yep. Agreed.
Shout out to everybody in chat.
Yes, huge shout out to everyone in chat for showing up. We almost little known fact, we almost started the show at like 6:45 today, our time.
Yeah, it was tight. Yep.
But we decided, you know what, we really needed to have a strong contingent in chat because you guys, we mentioned before, you guys make us better. You make us sharper. You keep us on our toes. And
they call us out on our bullshit.
Right,
absolutely.
Exactly. You keep us honest, yeah.
If we start going down a road, they're like, maybe not. Stop. What are you doing?
Yeah. And if we didn't want that, listen, if we didn't want that, we'd start the show at 5:00 on a Saturday because we don't give a shit when we start the show. But really, we want to make it accessible to our listeners and in particular our Patreon. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for giving a shit about the show because without you, we don't do this show. So yeah, major, huge cheers. And my last toast is going to go to, this show is going to come out on Monday morning, so it will already have happened, but a sincere and heartfelt toast goes out to all the fathers out there. Father's Day is tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, you cannot underestimate the significance and the power of a good father. And my mom, I never had a dad, and she played both roles, and she played both magnificently. And so, cheers to my mom for being the best dad I ever had, but also to you and Jefe McShane. You guys are two of the best fathers I've ever seen. You guys actually give a shit. You've stuck around even through hard times. And that's what dads do. And you're not there for the accolades. You're not there for the congratulations or the handshake. You're there because that's your fucking job. And so cheers to all the hardworking dads out there. Nothing but respect for all of you.
Well, it'd be self-servient for me to cheers, but I appreciate that. That's amazing. And your mom is fucking amazing too. So here's the Jefe. Here's to all the dads who are out there and the moms who've assumed that role. I completely agree with you. Well done. Thank you. Hey, Fitz. Can you explain to me, like I'm 5, what a bump stock is?
I mean, I can. Oh God, the graphics that are out there, it makes it look like these.
It's a fucking sex toy, right? I mean,
yeah, these rifles are being turned into fuck machines.
You put a gigantic black dildo. It has to be a black dildo. It's not gonna be. Nobody's gonna care if it's a white dildo.
No.
Nobody's gonna.
It's tactical.
It could be an alien dildo. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. Tentacles, totally cool. But nobody's gonna fucking buy it if it's a white. But you could go and put a bump stock on the end of an AR, or on the back end of an AR, and you could have this magical device that was just unreal, according to CNN.
Yeah, I mean, so, okay, first of all right, so like you're 5. The stock of the gun is the back of the gun, the part that goes up against your shoulder, right?
Thank you.
The butt, yeah. And so if you put a bump stock on there, and listen, just putting a bump stock on a rifle, on an AR-15, let's just say AR, you can put a bump stock on anything, but putting it on there does not turn the weapon into an automatic weapon.
Are you sure?
The weapon itself is still, you squeeze the trigger once and it fires a single round through the barrel.
I can't believe you, because every liberal entity feels it's now a machine gun, Fitz. Why is that?
Well, because the bump stock does provide, when you master the technique, it does provide you a spring-loaded action so that your finger basically stays still, but the gun vibrates back and forth. Again, the fuck machine analogy, but it goes back and forth rapidly. And so you increase your rounds per minute to, a significant number. Now, first of all, I've seen a lot of arguments, and the reason we're talking about this, because bump stocks are legal. They've been cleared, and that they're okay to sell and to have on your weapon at home
by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was totally cool with this,
right? By the Supreme Court, because they basically, the ATF was saying, oh nope, this turns a normal one-shot rifle into an automatic weapon. And it doesn't. It doesn't change the mechanics of the weapon at all. It only changes how you can manipulate that weapon. And so it was really kind of decided that this is a user created upgrade, not a upgrade to the mechanics of the weapon. Right. It's a mod.
It's a mod. It is legitimately a mod. It's equivalent of a video game mod, only you can kill people with it. That's the difference in it.
Yeah.
Everybody's freaking out over this.
Oh, and it's fucking ridiculous. And here's the thing is, like, one of the major arguments that you see out there on Twitter a lot today was the Las Vegas shooting. They claim that this man was basically firing off 1,000 rounds a minute, 1,000 rounds a minute. Okay. First of all, even with a bump stock, that's almost impossible, because you'd have to have 100, well, no, more than that.
Much
magazines
more.
Preloaded. These magazines would have to be preloaded, and he'd have to have someone there just feeding him the magazines.
It would have to be pretty much a minigun. Let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much a minigun that has to happen in order to go and spray that much ammo.
Right. And on top of it, it's been proven multiple times, because there's lots of video that was taken that night, that there were shots coming from at least 3 locations. Some videos are you can even see evidence for up to 6 locations. So that was a fucking CIA op all the way. That's been proven. People don't want to believe it, but that's the truth. And again, I don't want to get into the weeds and the conspiracy stuff. It's actually not a conspiracy theory. There's no way that guy could have thrown that much lead down into that crowd alone. So but that's the case, that they want to say, look, this is what bump stocks can do. This guy created a mass casualty event on his own. You can't allow these things. It's like, well, there's proof that he wasn't alone.
But what's the actual story though? What's the actual story? The actual story is that we're going to go ahead and attack the Supreme Court because of the views that they're taking.
You bet.
There hasn't been anything that hasn't been unconstitutional. Yes,
Nope.
Abortion reverted back to the states. If you don't like it, vote for different people to be in your state. The fact that we've actually got a ruling on bump stocks, perfectly fine. You want to argue that, then do something about mental health. It did nothing for any of we've had, like, let's see, since that ruling came out, Fitz, we had like 3 mass casualty events suddenly out of the blue.
Oh yeah. Oh, today. Yes, today.
It just suddenly those things pop up as soon as the Supreme Court rules on something. It is so crazy.
Yeah, there was one at a water park, one at a community center, and I don't remember the third one, but yeah, there was at least 3 shootings today.
It is absolutely disturbing. If you don't like something, create a false narrative around it to make sure that you can go ahead and ram home your agenda. That's really what it comes down to. And I am absolutely positive that this is not going to be a popular opinion. I'm absolutely positive that this is going to, if it's time to go ahead and pivot to the individuals who are now on a watch list because they don't agree with going into Ukraine in the war.
Before we pivot to that, the last thing I want to say about the Bumpstock deal is, I've watched several videos. I talked about it last week. I went from owning 0 guns, 15 years ago, and didn't see a reason for it, to I own several now, and one of which is a very, very smooth shooting AR. I'm very glad that the bump stock option is out there, because I think there's some people out there that just like really want to have some fucking fun and want to throw a lot of lead downrange. It's not something that most AR shooters are going to want for their gun. And I'll tell you why, because you go from having a very accurate, I have a 14-inch barrel. It's a very accurate weapon. You can put a round downrange very accurately, consistently, if you have the right optics on there. But when you put a bump stock on there, you kind of lose the ability to control sight on target. So it's great if you're, talking about home defense and your target is 5 yards away. But it's not fun to just go out to the range and just, empty $50 worth of ammo in 6 seconds. I mean, that's not a good use of your time. I mean, most shooters want to take their time, want to hone their skills, want to be able to be efficient and put one round on target and be done with it. I don't want to spray and pray, you know what I mean? And so again, the left is making a really big issue out of a pretty small problem.
Well, it's because they don't understand what the actual issue is.
Most AR owners are not going to be getting a bump stock because I'm not going to go out and get one personally. I don't want one. I don't fucking care.
Go back to sorry, you cut out a little bit. So go back.
I would much rather master my weapon. Oh.
Go back to you cut out a little bit. So go back to what most AR gun owners would want.
Yeah. I think most gun owners want to become a master of their weapon, right? They want to be efficient. They want to be able to put 2 rounds downrange, hit their target with both those rounds and be done. That's efficient. You don't want to just spray and pray. That's not what most of us want to do. In a wartime situation, it's beneficial to be able to put a lot of lead downrange, but for the rest of us, for us civilians, I want to know my gun so well that I can pick a guy off with 1, maybe 2 rounds. And so I'm personally not going to be out there looking for that bump stock. I don't care. And I don't think most gun owners are. And if you are going to do it, it's for fun. It's
the point where I think it's important that we're not trying to manufacture what guns are or should be or could be versus what they actually are, right? An AR isn't a machine gun. It's not. It really isn't. It's not. There's no way that it is. A bump stock doesn't make it a machine gun. I think you've got a lot of people who decide that, well, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're going to go and mar it completely and make sure that nobody's going to be able to use it. And we're still omitting the whole fact that if you want to go ahead and have a mass casualty event or somebody who's a shooter, we're still not dealing with the actual malcontent. We're not still dealing with the actual the piece that is the inability to deal with society. It's a sickness. If you're willing to take somebody's life for no apparent reason other than that you're tired of them or you're sick of them or you don't like who they are, what they believe in, or how they go about their business, that's a fucking sickness because you don't have the ability to reason. This is what the left go ahead and leaves out. You can go ahead and throw any kind of legislation bullshit out as much as you want, but you're still omitting the fact that we're not dealing with the actual issue, is the actual reason that we want to take somebody's life. Stop that part, and then you won't have to worry about the mechanisms that are used.
Yeah, and the part no one wants to talk about is I think some of what you said is true. Most of the time when these mass casualty events occur, it's because the person hates themselves, because they were treated shitty.
Yes.
They don't feel like they have any worth, so they have to take their pain out on others. And so why, again, to your point, why aren't we addressing that? How did they get there? What the fuck led up to them feeling like they are hopeless, they're worthless, and they have to spread that pain? Let's address that.
Hey, Fetz, did you know that the Stanford Internet Observatory is being dismantled?
I did know that, and I'm really happy about that. It's funny that it's weird. This one issue, this one story, really brought out the divide in the country. Because when this story came out, at first I was like, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I didn't know much about it. And then the more we started researching, we kind of went back and forth this week. It's like, oh, this was a major player in helping Twitter, censor people who were anti-vax, anti-Fauci, pro-Trump. It helped them and Facebook really, censor posts and give you more of what they wanted to give you and less of what you wanted to see. And so it's a good thing that this thing is going away. But the articles and the comments that I saw about the articles this week were crazy. You had sort of right-wingers going, okay, finally, now we can actually start getting some, pure stream down the line information. And you had the leftists going nuts. They're like, oh, finally that the fascists and the right-wing extremists got their way. And now we don't have any information about who or what is posting where. And it's just a very weird, this was one of those stories. Like, I just was like, it kind of went under the radar. You and I read it. We were like, oh, okay, that's kind of a big deal. But it didn't get a lot of play, but the play it got was completely black or white. There was zero gray on this one. You were either for it or you were completely against it. And I thought that was sort of interesting and a little bit odd about this story, because it's like, you know, there's some things that this thing was doing that was okay, that was positive. It just got turned to be evil. And so you can find some gray here, but nobody did. They were against it or for it. It was crazy.
So here's my thing that gives me that black and white feel to it, right? I don't feel the need to really dig deeper than this, is that Stanford allowed their students to report ideology that didn't agree with their stances, regardless of whether it was true or not.
Right.
Stanford okayed that. And this went on all of COVID. I mean, this is some, for lack of a better word, this is some rapey shit.
Yeah.
If they were, if they, I mean, if they were going to go ahead and say, just, this is a great venue. Just go ahead and send, you don't like something, just send it in. This is some communist bullshit that Stanford allowed to happen, rather than having actual morals. And if you didn't disagree with it, that's not the point. The point is that the ideology was that this is wrong. We're going to go ahead and disagree with it, regardless of all of the, everything that's all of the data, all of the fact finding being absolutely truthful. We're going to go and shit on everybody we don't like. That's what was happening at fucking Stanford.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make. I mean, let's not forget in all this that this was created by and funded by and controlled by Stanford, which is not just a school in California, which is already like, you got 3 strikes, you're out, but it's also an Ivy League school, which the Ivy League schools have been found to be so fucking liberal to the point of like fault, to the point of, you know, giving false information just to, you know, keep their narrative going. And so like, you got 7 strikes against you, dude. Your whole fucking, the last 2 batters are out, and your last batter that you have in the inning is basically on his way out. So, and why I understand that universities get government funding. I understand that. And I understand why they get government funding.
Yes.
But why are they then influencing public policy? Why are they then influencing the information that the public gets? Listen, I never went to Stanford. I'm never going to go to Stanford. Why are they limiting the information I get to see on my Facebook account or on my TikTok account?
Yep.
Right? Who are you? Who the fuck are you? Put me in a padded room with you. Who the fuck are you to tell me what I can and can't see? That's where I really get upset and like, do we not have a constitution? Did that just go away? Was that dissolved at some point?
Allegedly we did, but apparently it's okay to lie, cheat, steal, and make up bullshit along the way. So
and filter information.
Absolutely.
Hey, McShane, you can't handle this.
I can't.
Stanford doesn't think you can handle it, so we're gonna go ahead and filter that away from you. You don't get to see that. Yeah, exactly. Yep. What the fuck? Fuck you, Stanford. Fuck Stanford. Fuck the college system. Fuck the government. Fuck everybody. You know what? This beer is really good, and it's getting me to say fuck a lot more, and I like it.
Fitz, I feel like the only appropriate way to pivot this is to talk about all of the various climate scams that you've seen recently. Do you want to do that?
Oh God. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
All right. Beef emits 31 times more CO2 per calorie of food than tofu does.
Yeah.
Fitz, did you know? Wait for this. Hold on. I'm not done. I'm still setting up.
No. I know you're not done. Keep going. Hit it.
The UK to be blasted by 48-hour 26 Celsius heat wave. with 5 cities in England. The hottest.
God. 26?
26?
Did you say 26?
26 degrees Celsius. That's 78.8 degrees Fahrenheit, Fitz. God damn it. Show some goddamn respect.
What a fucking joke. All right, what else you got?
No, I think we're good right there. I mean, it's endless, but it's summertime, and this is where we're at. It is a fucking flood of ridiculous bullshit that's coming from the climate. Well, it's just fucking. It's the government. Okay, they really want they want this agenda to take this agenda away from anybody who has anything to do with any kind of elections. So this is where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, and you're about to hear, if you haven't already, you're about to hear the anomaly. That's what they keep calling it, the anomaly. And they're going to call it this deadly heat dome over the Midwest and East Coast over the next week. That's building. What they mean by heat dome is it's a high pressure ridge. It's a high pressure ridge. That's all it is. It's normal. It happens. Now, I will say, as a caveat to all of this, is that we are going to be experiencing extreme weather events. We've already seen them. We're going to see them happen more extremely and more often as we move through.
And we do this often, though.
We do,
right?
but this is special because our magnetic field is weakening and it is moving. The polar shift has already started. This is not up for debate. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. The polar shift has started. The North Pole is not where it used to be when we were kids. It's not where it used to be in the 1700s. It's moving south through the Atlantic. The South Pole is moving north through the Pacific, and they are going to flip. This happens every 12,000 years. It's a well-documented fact. Nobody wants you to know about it. But as this happens and our poles start to flip, it's going to let in much more radiation, which we've talked about from the sun, so that small, minor flares like we had back in May, small flares equate to huge displays of aurora borealis, of the northern light. We have a huge reaction in our magnetosphere that we wouldn't have had even 20 years ago because the magnetic field was much stronger. It's weakening. It's going to flip. And because of that, we're letting a lot more energy from the sun in. It's not that the sun's putting out more energy, although we're nearing solar maximum, so it's kind of a double whammy. But so much more energy is coming in, so you're going to see these really extreme weather events, like what's happening down in Florida. They got I don't even know the numbers anymore. Last I saw, it was 15 inches in some places, which is absurd. 15 inches of rain in like 3 days. That's absurd. I live in the Pacific Northwest. I've never seen that kind of rain, and we're supposed to be like one of the wettest regions on the planet. So it's just crazy amount of rain coming down in Miami. But that's to be expected, and you're going to see crazy shit going off all over the world. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's got nothing to do with CO2. CO2 is plant food. The more CO2, the more plants grow, the better it is for everybody. But they want you to believe that you're bad.
How did we get here? Because CO2 is like, it's the greatest thing ever.
It is.
It's fundamental. It's basic. How did we ever get? I mean, you're not going to answer this question here now, but my point is that it is fundamental. It's basic for everything that we have now. But we're going to go ahead and bastardize it. We're going to go ahead and make that. Well, that's the evil. It goes back to greenhouse gases, the magical fucking buzzwords of the 80s. It's just, oh, fuck. Fitz, I'm sorry. I totally derailed you, but I apologize.
No.
I was excited.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's, I guess my only point is, God, there's so much to talk about here, but my only point is that CO2 is not a bad thing. It usually CO2 equates to positive things in the environment. You know, they talk about coral reefs. The water's too hot for coral reefs. They like warm water. They're even talking about the warming of sea surface temperatures. So McShane, I know you like to cook, right? You like to cook?
Love it.
And one of your favorite things to cook is pasta. You're a fucking master of pasta. I've never had better spaghetti than I've had at your house. Okay.
Dude, I can handle my Italian really, really well. Absolutely.
I know you can. You're amazing at it. So when you put the pot of water on the stove and you're gonna heat that water, do you put a heating lamp over it, or like a hot fan on top of the? How do you heat your water? How do you do that? How do you get it to boil?
Dude, I fucking boil it. There's nothing else to do with it. There's no other heat fans, solar energy. There's nothing else to go there. I fucking it's
so you
boiled.
heat it from the bottom. You heat it from the bottom.
Fucking everybody does that.
Oh, is that the most efficient way to heat water? From the bottom?
Allegedly.
Okay. So why are we believing that an increase in air temperature is going to increase the sea temperature? And I mean, this is a big one that's going around, is that the Atlantic sea surface temperature is so much warmer. You know what? I'm actually not concerned about the sea surface temperature, because even if the air was heating the sea surface, which it's not, but let's go ahead and nothing when you get 5 feet down, let alone 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet down. It means nothing. The only heating that you can do with a body of water that big is from the bottom, from actual volcanic shit going on underneath the surface of the earth. It's not happening from the surface, people. And that's the myth they perpetuate. That's what they want us to believe. That's what they want us to be afraid of. And so the climate bullshit is crazy. But you watch this next couple of weeks, you're going to talk about this big anomaly, quote unquote, resting over the mid, Midwest and then the mid-Atlantic, and watch the death tolls rise for, just like in the UK, watch the death tolls rise from like 85 to 95 degrees. And they're going to talk about all these people who are dying. It's like, come on. Maybe you're talking about the 107-year-old grandma who is ready to go anyway. And maybe she died of heat stroke. Listen, she was waiting for any little thing to end her life.
I'm sorry she got old. That's really what that comes down to.
Ridiculousness. Don't fall into the rhetoric. Yeah. It's so stupid. My God.
All right. Speed run. You ready for this?
Yeah. Do it. Rapid fire.
All right. Apple is going to be using OpenAI for its artificial intelligence software. Be on the lookout for that shit, because that's a complete and total backdoor. Apple's always said that they're not going to, we would never sell your data. We would never let anybody in and to know what you do. We don't want anybody. We are a completely safe harbor. Well, OpenAI is now going to be the AI behind it. Opt in, you're fucked. That's the story.
And wasn't the head of OpenAI? Isn't he now like the head of the NSA or something like that? I mean, he got some high government position.
Oh, you want to go there? Well,
I'm just saying.
There.
Yeah. I forget where he got a post, but it was like a high up. He's the head of something intelligence related.
I got this. Hang on. Let's see here. In January 2018, it was reported that Nakasone was on the list of potential replacements for outgoing NSA director Michael S. Rogers. In February 2018, he was nominated for promotion to general. In April 2018, Nakasone was unanimously confirmed by the United States Senate as director of the National Security Agency, the NSA.
Yep.
And head.
He was
the head of the United States Cyber Command.
Yep.
Well, he was just hired by OpenAI.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's hard because they tie you in. You know, if you started out as an Apple user, it's hard to transfer your shit over to another, you know, another operating system, another OS. But so I've been loyal to Apple. I mean, like you said, they were so anti-government. They weren't going to turn over your info.
I'll never hurt you. We'll never backdoor you.
We're not going to let, you know, government agencies or, you know, law enforcement into your phone without your permission. All this stuff. I mean, they took that stand, and I really respected that. And now they're like, the money's too good. Fuck off.
Well, does it? So here's the thing that I look at, right? So the first thing I look at is Nvidia. Nvidia is going through the fucking roof as far as stocks go.
Yeah, crazy.
And it's all AI based. It's all AI based. There's nothing else to it. Apple can't keep up with that. So Apple's going to go to bed with OpenAI. I don't know how much money that they just got paid to go to bed with OpenAI or by the government. But like you were saying earlier, was that Apple's always maintained that we'll never sell your data. We'll never give your access to anybody. You are complete. We have a walled garden, and that is the actual quote from Apple, is that we are never going to let anybody in here.
Yep.
You need to play in our rules.
Yep. I remember that.
Well, if we're going to go ahead and give OpenAI access, and sure, you can say, I don't want OpenAI to have access. You can flip the switch so that they don't get to it. How many people actually pay attention to that? How many people actually, how many people actually review their terms and agreements?
I'll tell you what I'm holding out for. And it's been discussed, and I think it was at first a joke, and now I'm hoping it's a real thing. Elon, I feel like Princess Leia here. Elon, you're our only hope. Can you please create an X phone? Like R2D2 needs to be shining that at Elon, because that's the last bastion of hope. If Elon is who we think he is, and I'm still holding out hope that he is, but if he's truly for free speech, if he's truly for, you know, autonomy and freedom in the internet age, he needs to create the X phone, and it has to have it needs to be 100% a private company with zero government ties, zero, and
right on Starlink.
We can, and totally on Starlink, not on the government created interwebs. I'd buy it. I would buy it tomorrow. And Elon, if you're listening, which I'm totally positive he listens to Whiskey Hell, because if he doesn't, I mean, what a moron. But Elon, if you're listening, if you create this phone, I will buy it tomorrow, because I don't want to be a part of any more of the ecosystems that are already created, because they fucking suck, and they're roping us into giving our shit away, and I don't want that.
Fitz, I think it is time for final thoughts.
Whiskey Hell's final thoughts.
Fitz, my final thought really comes down to just be aware and make good decisions. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter where you are. Just think about what you're doing and make really, really good decisions from that. Think critically and act accordingly. It's not that fucking hard. But it should be the expectation. What you got, Fitz?
Yeah, I you know, as usual, there were so many stories we did not get to. Some good stuff happening out there that you know, I feel like sometimes we get stuck on the bullshit, the bad stuff, and that's what this show's all about. Is like destroying the narratives, and so I get it, but there is still good in this world. There's good people doing good things. You know, number one, fathers who stuck around and actually raised their kids. Again, I know I did a toast earlier, but kudos to all the dads out there. And guys, keep your head on a swivel. This was a relatively slow news week. I am gonna predict. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say this coming week is gonna. There might be some big stuff that comes down the hill. So, head on a swivel. As McShane said, think critically, act accordingly. Drink good beer, and if you're not a beer person, then find some good liquor, or some good wine. Don't buy the cheap shit. It's not worth it. Like, fucking splurge, buy the good stuff. It's worth it. And you're gonna appreciate yourself, in the next day. So, yeah, that's my final thought.
Which beer are you taking to bed?
Kind of a tough one, because that porter was really solid. I really liked it. I also, God, the same thing happened with that second beer. Maybe it's just because I'm a fucking alky. But the second beer just went down like fucking water. And it's kind of an unusual beer in the sense that it was like a true to life lager, but it was just black as the darkest parts of the ocean. So I'm gonna have to go with Death and Taxes, not just because of the name, but because it was just a little bit smoother of a beer. But that porter was solid, and again, it really flirted with being a porter or a stout. It could have been either. But Death and Taxes would legit, hey, this is a Cascadian dark ale, and you're gonna fucking love it, and I did. So that's who's going to bed with me. What about you?
I'm actually going to go with the last Jackalope because it was completely outside of my norm. Dark Sky Brewing, the last Jackalope, barrel-aged wheat wine. Blanton bourbon barrels. It was heavy. It was impactful, but it was enjoyable too. I'm not going to have more than one of those in any night, but I really, really enjoyed this one. So I'm really happy with it. That's my bedtime piece.
Nice.
All right. If you guys want to follow us, it is at whiskey_hell on X. whiskeyhellpod.com is going to be the website. whiskeyhellpod@gmail.com is going to be the website. I am Steve McShane.
I'm Fitz.
Think critically.
Act accordingly.
We'll talk to you soon.